Warm welcome, Shawn Leonard.
Yes.
How are you?
I am really well. And yourself?
Good.
We're good.
And I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Tanis Lugari from Central Canada, Winnipeg, Manitoba. But I am rural Manitoba, so Ile de Shane and Estelle.
And I'm Estelle in Prairie. And I'm right next to town here in Manitoba too. And we're really pleased to have you here.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on as a guest on your podcast. And I don't know, like I've been in Manitoba, like I've been to Winnipeg, and even when I was driving through there filming some of season 4, I'm not sure all the places I went, but I know I might have like stopped near your community where you guys are. So whereabouts in Manitoba are you near or located to?
Just south of Winnipeg, like 20 minutes south of Winnipeg. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
so
yes, I know I went through Winnipeg. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're hoping one day you'll pass through again.
Yeah.
I will for sure. Hopefully next year. I'm planning to do another tour again next year, and Winnipeg is definitely on the list.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Have you heard of the Petroforms? Because that would be a place that we would love to take you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Petroforms.
I've not heard of it. I'd love to go there.
It's towards Ontario.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a little over an hour away from here.
It's a sacred area, and I know, like, anytime. Well, I've only been there once myself, and I was very grateful to go with a shaman friend of mine, and we went through all the different rocks and just did a lot of prayer and meditation, and it's very powerful. I feel like you would love it there.
So you're saying they're called what?
Petroforms.
Forms.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, Petra is usually a rock inscription of some sort, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are inscriptions in the rocks, I'm assuming, like that. Are they just boulders, or are they actually like a hillside?
It's a whole section of different area where you walk in, and you can feel the energy as soon as you walk in this path. And then there's rocks, and then there's like turtle, snake, all these different type of petroforms, and like different styles of energy. You can just it's quite powerful, actually.
Oh, that's really cool.
They ask that nobody touch the stones or don't remove anything, and so it stays sacred. And I believe there's still some Indigenous people who go there.
Mm-hmm.
It's still being used.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna look them up.
Some information on it. I think I think it'd be a great place to put one of your episodes on.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, you never know. I mean, it's a very nice spot. So I wrote it down. I'm definitely going to check it out. If you send me info, I'll definitely look more into it.
We will. Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about Spirit Talker. We have our little display behind us.
I see that. Yes.
Yes. There's your book and your Wisdom of Elders Oracle cards.
Yes.
Which we love.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. I remember doing these projects with Hay House. I mean, it was almost like a long time manifestation that took a lot longer than I would have thought to happen, but it did finally happen.
Good for you.
Awesome. That's great. How did that all come about for you?
Well, that's a strange story because, well, one, I've always put it out there that I wanted to write a book and even do an Oracle card deck. And the book, I actually self-published a book way back in the day. It was called The Language of Spirit. And I self-published the book through Balboa Press, which is a sister company of Hay House. And it's a self-publishing company. And I published through there, hoping that one day that somehow, again, the sales would be good enough or it would catch someone's eye. And I like to say that's exactly what happened, but it was a little bit different. Way back in the day, I toured with another fellow named John Holland, who's a medium with Hay House. And he came up to Nova Scotia.
Yeah, I'm familiar with him. Yes.
Yeah, we went to Nova Scotia, went to New Brunswick, and did a couple of events together, and we just clicked. Just really hit it off. I mean, John's an amazing man, a medium, and a good mentor in some ways too. That he's been able for doing what I do, getting out there in the way I have. That it was him that kind of like when they were looking for people and book ideas, he threw in a name to Hay House. He's like, did you know that you have an Indigenous author that's with Balboa Press, and he has his own TV show, is in the 3rd season, and because this is where me and John just really kind of clicked, and so it was always in the back of his mind, and so I really appreciate that John did that. But he said to me that when he sees talent or somebody who has real talent, then he would obviously put the name for anybody that had. And I'm just really grateful that we were able to kind of cross paths, and that all came to be. And so the Language of Spirit that I self-published became a rewrite. So I rewrote my self-published book, added like 15 new chapters, got re-edited, and now is become Spirit Talker with Hay House Publishing. Oh, I lost you. Your sound. I can't hear you right now. Can you hear me? So for whatever reason, your mic must be off, because I don't know why, but my sound is on, but I can't hear you. Unless this is Mercury retrograde, and I think now I hear you.
Can you hear us now? Yeah.
Yes, I can.
For some reason,
That's okay.
That's
Our
strange.
speaker.
that is
It's
strange.
the
Oh, yeah.
energy.
There's
You know
so
what?
much of it.
We did a meditation prayer before,
Yes.
and we grounded ourselves, and we asked some ancestors, and we were thinking maybe some messages might be coming through, because that's what happens to us.
That's what
Oh,
else
I imagine.
happens.
I mean, when you get two or more people gathered together, I mean, there's that much more energy, right? So,
Exactly,
I mean, maybe
exactly.
they're trying to let you know they're around and get your attention, get my attention as well, to let you know that they're around.
Yeah,
you for sure.
exactly. Like, hello,
Right.
we're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was
Oh,
going
I
to
was
say,
just gonna
and
say, oh,
the
we're
Oracle
just talking
card
the
deck.
same time. Yes, let's do it. Let's talk about it. You want to pull a card? Or
Yeah.
shall we? Here it is.
Right. So what happened with the Oracle card deck was the same thing. It was a manifestation of sorts, but it really didn't have much to do with John Holland in that regard, other than getting me the book deal. But when I started season 1 of Spirit Talker, like the filming, the TV show and APTN that I do, I did the pilot episode. And this is before I knew that Spirit Talker, the TV show, was going to be an actual show. So I filmed the pilot in Listigouche, Quebec, which is on the New Brunswick-Quebec border. And so I was in the community, and we did a live audience reading, which in season 1, it was all live audience. This is pre-COVID. And I did some sessions in the audience. And one of the people that I connected to was Tracy Metallic. And so on the pilot, which nobody will ever see because it was a pilot episode, but I read Tracy and her sister, I believe. And so after the reading, I do one-on-ones when I was doing the live show. So I'd connect to them in the live setting. And then after, we'd film in another day, and I would do an in-person reading with them to see if there was any more information that would come through. And so I tuned into Tracy, and I noticed a lot of art references from Spirit. And I asked Tracy, I said, Spirit's telling me that you're an artist of some sort, that there's art, that you work with art in some way. And she goes, yeah, I can show you some of the pieces after the session. So after the session, I looked at her pieces and I said, wow, you have some amazing art. Now, one of the pieces that I saw was this picture. And I said, Tracy, you know what? I've always wanted to make an Oracle card deck. And, I don't know how that's ever going to manifest in that way in life. But if I ever get the opportunity, would you be interested in doing the art for the card deck? And she said, I would absolutely love to. So when I got the book deal with Hay House, they said, hey, Shawn, have you ever thought about doing an Oracle card deck? And I'm like, let me think about it. Yeah, I did. And so that's what happened. I did the Oracle card deck, and Tracy did the art. And I had another artist named Erin Gugu, because she's a painter. So he took Tracy's art and kind of transformed it so it would fit to a card or card size, because she didn't have the digital media creation ability to do that. So I had to utilize Erin. And then Erin added a few bit of, let's say artistic accents, but it was like let's say 95% of the work was done by Tracy in regards to the art. And so that's what makes up the deck today. Oh, you cut out again, your sound. Can you hear me? So your sound, I can't hear you again. So whatever's happening keeps happening. There it goes.
I'll just do that.
There it goes.
Work?
Yeah. So something happens where the audio cuts out for a second.
It's disconnecting.
Oh, wait, the battery. So, okay.
Just grab the other one.
Okay.
One right there.
Okay. Go ahead.
Can't talk. You grab it. The back. The
I don't see it.
Is it a battery thing?
Yeah, it's a battery thing, but we're just going to add in another speaker. Oh, I
Sure.
didn't see it. Sorry about that.
That's all right. I mean, you can
It's
always
called
edit this if
technical
you need to.
difficulties. There we go. Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
We're easy.
Perfect.
We're flexible. We got this.
You know, sometimes you gotta just go with the flow, and then whatever happens, happens. You can't
You
expect
took
me
the words right out of our mouth. We
Yeah.
just
Yeah, you
said
can't
that
plan
about.
for things.
Yeah, no, you can't. You can't.
Literally, just that's what we said a half hour ago. We're going to go with the flow tonight, and we're going to let the stream flow where the river goes.
Exactly, and you used our exact words.
Oh, there you go. That's awesome.
To backtrack, we actually pulled a card for you today.
Yes.
I don't know if everyone. So this one is the forest. Is that right?
Yes, the forest.
Yep.
So do you want to share a little insight about support on this card?
Sure. So there's another word on below the forest. What does the word say? Harmony, I think.
Support.
Support.
So with the forest and support, and actually this was a teaching given to me by an elder named Todd Labrador, who is he was actually featured in Spirit Talker season 2, where we made a canoe. And him and his daughter Melissa were helping me learn about canoe making in the like a traditional Mi'kmaq canoe with birch bark. So we made the canoe, and then he was telling me about a teaching about what his what his grandfather had taught him about the forest, because we were working with roots and etc. And with spruce roots, because you tie everything together with spruce roots. And he was telling me about the forest, of how through a teaching from his grandfather that's been passed down from him, that the forest, even though they're a lot like people in some way, there's all kinds of different people in the world, going through different things in life. I mean, just like the trees, there's different trees. You got maple trees, pine trees, spruce trees, fir trees, and alders, and even some other ones that are everywhere in the world, right? Palm trees, etc. But even though they appear to be in the forest and individual, even though there's groups or families of trees, underneath it all, they're supporting each other and holding each other up. Because underneath the soil, what you can't see is that their roots, and if you look at the picture of the card, you'll see underneath the soil that you'll see a little heart. So that unconditional love and support they have for each other, and all the roots that are holding each other up are there to support each other through life. So the trees can be our teacher, right? About life, because, even though there's so many different people, I mean, and you can, there's people that are in prison, there's people that are struggling on the street, we're all different, and we're going through different things of life. And some people may not be as healthy or well-rooted in life. And I think it's important for us as, all people in the world, to support other people on the, help them stand strong, help them to endure life and get through it in the best way they can. So when you draw that card, it's a symbol of that. Like, who in your life can you help support? Like, who in your life could, that you realize that is struggling, that maybe you need to reach out to and just give a helping hand to, so that they can find their way through life in a better way, right?
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
That's basically saying we are all one and we're all connected. So help each other.
We are. I mean, and we're all here to grow and evolve and advance, through life. And, when we get to the other side, then we can look at our life and see, that we've been through a lot. And just to share a story, because this week, and I won't name her, but actually it was probably about 3 weeks ago, I received a letter from a lady in prison. And this lady in prison, she was part of an unfortunate event where somebody got murdered. And it was because of a lot of her traumas that she's been through in life, that, doesn't mean that she's a terrible person because she was part of something that, to hurt somebody. Everybody can grow no matter where you are in the darkest and, deepest, darkest places. And she sent me a letter thanking me for the TV show, because in prison she was able to watch TV sometimes, and she, as an Indigenous person, was looking at APTN and saw Spirit Talker, the TV show, and it gave her hope and inspired her to find her way in life and to seek out elders within prison to help her through, the troubling times. So she wrote me a letter saying all this, and she told me a little bit about her story, what she's been through, and how remorseful she was, and that she was on a better path and she was going to work on herself in the time that she was there. So I wrote her back a letter, and just telling her how, happy I was that she, she's on a better path of life and that she can get the healing that she hasn't gotten up till now. So to really work on herself, between now and the time that she has to serve to be out in the world again, so that she can be engaged in life and be healthy and strong, stands very strong on her own 2 feet. Now, and I can't I'm just a small part. I'm just one tree in the forest, let's say, right? There's counselors, there's elders, there's psychologists there that are helping her. And of course, herself has to kind of root herself in better in life so that she can stand strong when she does come out. And I will write her again because she sent me another letter back just about 3-4 days ago here. I received it. And so I'm going to probably keep in touch with her. And if I can, when I'm up in the Montreal area, I'll see if I can visit her in prison and just sit with her for a visitation and just have some words with her. So, it's easy. It's easy to help people that are standing fairly strong in life, but I feel challenged that when I see somebody who are in the thick of things, they're struggling and they haven't made really good choices in life for one reason or another, that you help them stand stronger. And that card definitely represents that message of what just happened in my life. And, it's a personal thing. It's not something that is out in the world, but, I won't name who this person is or what she's done, etc. But I think it's a message that maybe a lot of people need to hear, that maybe, you think of serving people. Yeah. Who do you serve? Spirit sends you people because that's what happens when, the creator, your guides, your angels, your ancestors are guiding people to you. I mean, how, do you feel that calling to go to them and help them in some way? It doesn't mean that you have to go and live with them or stay with them or, anything, but just have just a small moment of time where you can share some wisdom, share your light, share some kindness. And you don't know how that may change or affect that person in their life. And I'm just really grateful for the TV show that was able to get out there and kind of bridge that connection, because otherwise, she wouldn't have seen or heard me or found that message that maybe she needed to have,
And you changed her life, I'm sure.
Well, I don't know if I'll change her life. She's changing her life.
She's changing her, but you inspired her.
I'm one of the people who are inspiring her. She also has a daughter, and I would say probably her daughter is probably her biggest inspiration, being in prison, knowing that, that she wants to be and see and spend time with her daughter again one day. So I think that's probably her primary motivating factor. But if I'm a small little light in the darkness, then her daughter is the massive light, but I might be a spark in the darkness that helps illuminate her path or help her find her way.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Right. That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's gorgeous.
And I think I'm actually here in Winnipeg, there's a Spiritualist Fellowship Church, and some of the ladies are actually part of your Spirit Talker tribe. And so they said to say hi. So
and who are those ladies? Do you know their names?
You know what? I don't know all their names, but they sure know you. And so I just wanted to do a shout out because they were very excited.
Well, give them a shout out for me too. Please tell them I said hi, and thank you for saying hi to me as well.
Yeah, nice, absolutely. So so your book, Spirit Talker, I actually on Hay House, I'm part of the app where it's unlimited, and I actually got to hear the audio, and my heart is full. And there's something that I truly believe there's a connection between all of us because you speak our language. I don't know. Has anyone shared that about you before?
No, explain. Tell me what you mean by that exactly.
Well, maybe you can explain, Estelle.
When I started reading it, it was like having a cup of coffee with you across couch to couch. It was like, oh, I could just sit here and read this, and it's not like I'm going to be able to put it down and forget about it. I might have to put it down because I got other responsibilities in life, but I'm going to pick it up as soon as I can, and I'm going to remember everything that I read without thinking about it because I'm having this conversation with you. You're here with me together, and it's real. It's not fake. It's authentic. It's
so authentic, and there's a couple of things I just want to share without crying. word for word is what you said in your book is how I speak about dimes. And literally you said that, like, I'll just say, I said, hey dad, please show me the dimes, but make it bigger.
Yeah.
And so, the other day he did 2 American dimes and 1 Canadian. I'm like, yay.
Well, that's awesome.
That's great.
And I love your story, how,
Yeah.
it kept going where, show me dad, like, and then
Show
you. And then a $50 bill came on, the 5s were in the wind. And then the stranger came in, like they were meant for you. And I love how there's so much connection between us. And I mean, that's just one little piece of the pie, but there's just so much more. That's what I believe.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I feel like I'm part of, I'm on a journey through life, and we all are, and there's going to be a lot of similarities, like crossovers between people who are on a spiritual journey. And I think, to the best of my ability, when I put together, Spirit Talker, the book, that I wanted to share the stories that I felt like would touch people or reach people or help people understand a concept. And that, because everybody on that spiritual journey will probably have many of these experiences. And I wanted to show the progression through my life, even though I was working as a spirit talker, doing things, and I didn't start off going, I believe in all this right away. It was like, it took time for me to grow and to understand that this was like absolutely real. And then, once I stepped into that space, it just opened a whole new world of understanding of like how spirit does and can communicate, not through just me, but in unique ways like dimes or signs or messages. And, as I walk through life, I've had feathers, like profound signs, like just amazing.
Like my tattoo, I have a tattoo of 2 feathers, and one's for my father and my other one's for my stepson. Estelle has a little thing she'd like to share from your book, if that's okay.
Sure. Okay. Absolutely.
Something that just really inspired me. And it's actually just in your introduction. And that's how captivating this book is for people to know. We cannot be separated from that which resides within, or from that which is all around us. It is the bond of love from our Creator that binds us all. When we love our family, our friends, our pets, our planet, when we admire the vastness and greatness of the universe, we are loving and honoring our Creator. We are all one. I was just like, I got such chills when I read that. I was like, wow, that's deep, but honest and real.
Yeah, because we're connected. And in Indigenous culture particularly, as a Mi'kmaq person, we have a word that means we say Emsinogama, which means all my relations, everything is connected. And when we say that, we don't just, think that we're connected as brothers and sisters just to the human nation. If you break it all down, I mean, even this is why I'm just doing this audio course for Hay House called The 4 Sacred Fires. And the 4 Sacred Fires, starts with grandfather son. So there was a light, a first sacred light, that came into physical being within the universe itself. And then that expanded, grew, and then became new sparks of light, that because it went into a supernova eventually, and then had to become something greater and bigger than itself, and literally exploded into many pieces, which created all the elements of that, all human and plant, mineral nation, everything that you can see in the visible in the visible universe is made from those elements that have broken out and somehow magically, which isn't magic. I'm going to say it's the Creator's divine wisdom and intelligence and inspiration to bring all these things together, like atoms and molecules and cells and etc. And then everything becomes new and greater and grows and expands, and eventually even our own sun will grow and expand and become another star planet somewhere else, right? It will transform and create other stars and other planets. It's not, and as we look out into the vastness of space, that is, we can't even see the end of it. And we're trying to see the end of it, but we can't. And even when they see the farthest away, they find more specks of light that are so far away that predate even the Big Bang, for which they thought that's when life created. But what if life always existed? What if it always was? And there was really never a time where there wasn't an aspect of light or creation, right? And then it just keeps going and going and becomes new and almost like, in a sense, like a reincarnation of things, that our star has done it. And we're created not only from our star, but we're created from the dust of other stars. So that first sacred physical light, visible and invisible, is literally what we're made of. It's who we are. And, there's a heart sacred fire to Mother Earth. There's a sacred fire within our chest, our heart sacred fire. And we're all connected. And there's a sacred fire in the grass and the trees, the slugs, the fish, and the rocks are held together by, a force. There's no place that the Creator is not. There's no place that spirit is not. I mean, and this is the great thing about masters from the ages. And if you even think back to Joshua, he obviously had a wisdom, because in his book, he spoke about it and said, lift up a stone and you'll find me there, split a piece of wood and I am there. Meaning that the Creator's energy and light is in all things everywhere. Now, indigenous people, religious beliefs, let's say, had that understanding, including indigenous people. So that's why we had this word for Emsit Nogama, saying all my relations, is because we knew and honor through our ceremonies and even through our ceremonial sacred fire that we honor the spirit of all nations, the heavens, Mother Earth, the water, the creatures and everything upon it. It has a spirit and a light in it, and it's having an experience. And so it's really important to know that we're not separate from all that. We just believe that we are in this physical form, but we're very much made of everything that is all around us. We're created from the star, that light itself. Everything you see is created from that light.
And it's a remembering of that we have to go back to,
It is.
We kind of get lost in our past.
Because we've separated ourselves from everything that's all around us. There was something I even watched online the other day. It was Neil deGrasse, and he was saying the same thing. And in a scientific terms, he even said that it was almost religious or spiritual. Now, for a scientist who studies the stars to then start talking about religion and, spirituality and the connection of everything, spiritual people and people of faith, throughout time have been saying this for time immemorial. This isn't like a new concept. This is something that we have known. And I know how we've known it is because many people have had memories or remember who they were pre this time of this form, through reincarnation or past lives or dreams, etc., visitations, messages. But also a lot of people, even today, there's many people that have near-death experiences, where they physically die a death. And their spirit leaves their body and they return to that energy of the other side, and they have an experience of understanding themselves as connected to the whole. And they come back with that wisdom and share it with whoever. And there's so many places online that you can watch people speaking about their near-death experiences. And everybody's is universally very similar. No matter what culture, religion, or faith they are in the world, they come back with this understanding and share with everybody that we're all connected. There's only unconditional love. There's nothing there except that. And it's unifying. Despite what we may think about people in prison or in drugs or whatever, we are all here, expanding and growing to the best of our ability. And eventually we'll outgrow this form, just like our sun will outgrow its form. And we'll transform into energy again, and then maybe recycle within this world or even perhaps another. And in Mi'kmaq culture, there's a teaching called, that we believe that we are star people. That's why we call ourselves star people. Because,
I love that.
What's that?
It gets our hearts. Just so you know.
Yeah, my name actually means star.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Because, as star people, we knew we were made from the star. And then when we leave, there's even quantum entanglement theory that is out in the world where that says we're not even what we do or how we feel has an effect even on distant stars and distant energy in distant places. There's a quantum entanglement effect and it's instantaneous. And when we leave this physical life, when we return to the orb of light, which we are, which we originated from, just like the orb of light that our sun is, when we turn back to our own spirit, just releases the physical form and we retain it. Doesn't mean you can't emanate a form if you choose to, because we've lived many lifetimes, because you can. But when you return to that form, in indigenous teaching, when we look out into the Milky Way, and there's even a card in the deck of Wisdom of the Elders that you see behind you there,
Mhm.
that talks about the spirit road of the Milky Way. And that quantum entanglement kind of touches on that, how we could choose to go into the spirit world of this world. We could choose to reincarnate within this world with our soul family, etc. Or we may even choose a life in another planet in one of the, trillions of billions of stars that's out with just in our Milky Way alone, that we can move out into. And that's why we know ourselves as star people. We're created from it, but we're connected to all the stars that you can see. It's not just this one star, but we're made of many stars.
We completely and utterly agree with you.
100%. Yeah.
Mhm.
So can I ask you a question about mediumship then?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Is that where you are connecting to? Is that something that, we can all possibly even connect it to our stars, to our star people, to the beginning of life? Like, is that something that, that's where the spirit world is? Like I've connected to different things, but
Right.
I haven't been able to get at those kinds of answers.
Well, there's different levels of energy. It's like in life, right? We're living in a certain vibration of energy, and there's some people that are like in a lower level energy vibration within life themselves that are stuck or muddled with, depression or just like drug addiction, etc. So they're on a different level of energy. Doesn't mean they're in a bad space or, they may be going through a bad experience. But in the spirit world, there's levels of energy that exist around our world itself. And you can call it the other side, you can call it heaven. It doesn't really matter what word you use for it, but it's an energy that emanates around the world itself. And even topography, plants, animals, mountains, and buildings. Some of the buildings on the other side are uniquely different and very specific to just being in the spirit world. And many people that I've heard from their near-death experiences talk about them, whether it's the Akashic Records or the Hall of Wisdom or the Hall of Justice or things like that on the other side. But these are like real places that our spirit can go and reside. Does it mean we look like we do? We can, but not everybody walks around with a body all the time. Sometimes I believe that we can transform from being an orb of light to having form if we need to, for the human understanding of connection and communication. But it doesn't mean if you were to meet another orb of light in the spirit world, like your father or whoever, right, that you wouldn't know who they were. And you would say, you would know them. Your soul would know them on a soul level. And you could have a conversation without words, but thoughts, feelings, and very much like psychic information. Because if, what we're doing here in relation to connecting to information from the spirit world is a communication that is almost like a telepathy of sorts with people on this other side. When they communicate to me as a spirit talker, as a psychic medium, it's the same language that we use on the other side. It's just we project images, we project thoughts, we project words, but it's not spoken. It's not like drawn out. It's something that just comes to each of us. So when you're open to receiving messages as a medium or spirit talker from the other side, you have to listen. So, you have to speak and ask and invite them to communicate to you, but you also have to listen and be mindful and create space with your mind so that you can receive it. So when you receive things and then you work with it, whether they're speaking literally or figuratively or whatever it is that they're trying to say to you, then for the energy that comes to me particularly, I work with whatever they show me because I know there's a reason for it. And I might not know the reason right away. But I have to, and I like to say when Spirit's giving me messages, they leave me little breadcrumbs. I'm going on a little journey and I'm following the breadcrumbs. As I follow the breadcrumbs, maybe about 3 or 4 breadcrumbs in, I'm like, oh my God, okay, I know what they're trying to say by showing me this and this and this or saying this. So I now know what their intention. So I know their intention of what they need to communicate to this person or that person, etc. And a lot of things is validation because when you receive information from spirit, to know that this is your dad or your mom or whoever, you also have to, I could say, well, spirit's saying this, spirit's saying that, but you would say, well, is that my dad? Who's spirit? It could be anybody. But when your dad comes through to communicate a particular message, then he's going to use memories that you have or times that you shared together or something you did just in memory or thought of him recently and he was around. And one of the best ways I can describe how that can happen, how they would say, hey, I'm with you and I know you're talking to me or thinking about me. I was in Newfoundland last year, and I was doing a live event in St. John's, Newfoundland. And I connected to a girl in the audience, and I did connect to her father. And he showed me something which was kind of very unique, right? And I didn't understand it right away. So he took an old boot, and it was an old rubber boot, and it had holes all in it. And I said, this is so strange. Like, why would your dad be showing me an old boot with holes in it? And she goes, I don't know, but there's a reason for this. And I said, well, I'm going to have to follow this through. This is a breadcrumb. So she didn't understand. So I need more information. So Spirit has to tell me more so I can fully understand what it is they're trying to say. So I said, now he poked a whole bunch of holes through it. And I said, he put dirt in it. And I think there might be a plant in it. So you don't have just one of your dad's boots? And she goes, no, but you know what? On Father's Day, I took an old boot out of my garden and I poked holes all through it and I planted some flowers in it. And I put a little dog on the top because my dad loved dogs. And I dedicated it to my father. And I said, well, why do you think Spirit would show me this and try to get me to understand that? Because she'd done something for her father, who she loves very much in the spirit world, and was honoring him with the little dog that she put in the boot. And she thought about him, talked to him, did all these things. And he's trying to say, daughter, I love you. I heard you. I was there. I saw that you've done this for me. So that's a validation to help you be aware that when you have those moments that you feel like are just personal with your loved one, they can find a way to validate that they were there when you did it. And of all the randomness of the world, I find it amazing that Spirit can do things like that. And I spoke about another story today. This is what season 1 of Spirit Talker. And in season 1, when I was doing live audiences, one of the most memorable moments for me, particularly in all of the seasons, was in Acadia First Nation in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, where I was connecting to this mom who lost her daughter. And she unfortunately died of cancer. She looked like she lost a lot of weight. But then her daughter showed me something almost a little awkward. And I thought, okay, here I'm in front of like 120 people filming before a live audience. And this young girl who looked like was very sick, and the mom's there and she's crying and I'm speaking to her, rips her shirt off and is standing there with a bra on. And her bosom started to grow. And I'm like, okay, where the hell are we going with this? And I didn't know. I felt like weirdly awkward, very awkward about maybe even saying like, how do I approach this, right? How do I approach this? Because as a medium, you want to do the best you can, but you also want to honor the people you're giving the message to. You want to honor the people that are giving it to you. But sometimes I find Spirit puts me in an awkward place where I have to say something, but I don't. How do I deal with this in the right way in front of a live audience, being on TV, filmed, the whole 9 yards? And so I said to her, I'm so sorry. I don't mean you disrespect. I don't mean your daughter disrespect, but I don't know why I'm seeing this, but I have to say what I'm seeing. And she just did something very uniquely weird and different. But your daughter ripped her shirt off and she's standing here in her bra and her bosoms just grew. And she just busted out laughing. And now this is where, at first when I was doing the reading, it was just mom standing up. Soon as I said that, 2 other women jumped up right beside her and go, oh my God, that's our sister.
Wow.
Love it.
And I said, and they're like, holy shit, this is real. And I was like, okay, so you're going to have to explain to me because I don't know, right? I don't know why she's doing this, but they know. This is something personal for them. I'm the medium. I'm the middle person. I'm receiving, giving the best I can, but I don't know everything. I just know what I'm being shown. And I know there's a purpose for it. So I tell her, and she goes, well, the funny thing is because she lost a lot of weight and she was very slim and she always, thought, she always wanted to have bigger bosoms. So in the back room at her funeral, when nobody was around, me and her 2 sisters took her other bra, put a new one on her, and we stuffed it. And we were literally going to send her to the spirit world with bigger bosoms. And it was a joke.
Gosh,
awesome. And it was almost like we were giving her last wish, and nobody knows. We never told anybody ever. We've not told anybody. Nobody knew. So even though we were crying, Yeah, we were crying in this funeral service. We were laughing
I love
too at
it.
the same time, and
That's
everybody was
correct.
looking at us weird, but they didn't know why. And it's because
Yeah.
we honored her this way and we loved her this way. And it was something we wanted to send to the spirit world with. And they said, "Does she like it?" And I'm like, "I'm sort of course she loves it, you know." And it was important enough for her to bring up, but it was a unique memory that only the four of them share. And one of them was deceased and in a casket. And the person who's talking to me is the one that was in the casket, the one who is not in a physical form of death, but in the spirit. She can still communicate, show me things, explain things to me, help me understand things, and give that message in such a way. And there was more messages, but it was like the moment that they went from, "Oh, this might be real," to, "Holy shit, this is real." And it was profound. And I was part of that. But not only was I part of it, every single person in the audience was part of it.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, that's right. Which is
And your book.
I have
And your book.
Yes, you wrote it.
Yes, it is in my book. I have one that's not in my book. I'll share.
Okay.
I was in Halifax last year, and it wasn't last year. It was last year or the year before in Halifax doing an event. I think it was 2 years ago. And so I did the event in Halifax, and they connected to a little boy who had lost his life, unfortunately, in a car accident. And his mom was standing there, and I connected to him, and he was telling me some things about his passing, that it was an accident and he was okay. And he was very intelligent and an amazing communicator. And I was like, wow, for like a small boy that was like 6 or 7 years old, and don't quote me in his age, but I feel like it was around that age from my memory. But he was an amazing communicator and super smart. Just the way he was telling me things, showing me things, I realized he was a very effective communicator. Then he talked to me about his organs. And I said, and before that, he said, I had to ask Mom. I said, "Mom," I said, "this is really strange, but are you pregnant?" Because he's talking to me about a new baby coming into life. And she didn't look pregnant. And she goes, "No, I'm not pregnant." I'm like, "Are you sure you're not pregnant?" Because I'm pretty adamant what he's showing me. He goes, "No, but my surrogate mother here is."
Oh my goodness.
My surrogate that I brought with me is pregnant with our child.
Oh my gosh.
So she's giving birth because we're older, and she's giving birth to our child. So I said, "Stand up." And I talked to her. And then the little boy started talking about his organs and how they had donated his organs to people. Now, I started to feel my liver, right? Because, spirit can communicate messages in so many profound and cool ways, right? You can see things, you can hear things, but sometimes you can really feel things. And I felt pressure from the inside out on my liver area. So I know he was bringing my awareness to my liver. So I said, "Well, this is odd, but, your son is really telling me about his liver." And then he says to me in my head, "Tell her that she's going to find out who has my liver." And I'm like, "Okay." I said, "Do you know who have your son's liver?" And she goes, "No, I don't know who received any of his organs, actually." He says, "Tell her she's going to find out who has received a liver." I said, "He's telling me you're going to find out who received your son's liver." And as soon as I said that, someone in the audience stood up and goes, "I know who got your son's liver."
Oh my gosh.
She goes, "It was my friend in Ontario who received your son's liver. I can't believe I'm doing this." But she was not told who received any of her son's organs. But the only person in the audience who has a best friend in Ontario and knew when I was doing the reading that it was this lady's son that received her best friend's child had received, her son's liver. And I was like,
"You can't make that up."
"No, you can't." And everybody was like,
no matter how we try.
I said, "Wow, that was a lot faster than I thought was going to happen."
Yeah, not a week from now or something, right?
No, I don't know how this is going to work out. Like, I don't know. I'm just trusting what's being said to me. And I know where he's bringing my awareness. And I trusted it. And that's the purpose of a medium. It doesn't mean you know everything. It doesn't mean you have to know everything. It just means you have to trust how that energy and information is coming to you. And you work with it. And if you don't understand, you keep going, because they'll give you another little piece of the puzzle, another little breadcrumb, until it's very abundantly clear that it's them and this is what they're communicating. And I've been part of so many amazing experiences like that. And it's, it's a real honor to be part of the process. And I'm really grateful for it. And I find how spirit communicates. There's, just like in life, there's different people that have different abilities and strengths, and some spirits are very audible. Some spirits are very visual, and some spirits are very sensory, very feeling, right? And it's really just trusting that whole process. And most of the reading may be visual, right? And then occasionally a word might slip in, or it might be a lot of words and then an image slips in. And it's just putting it all together and wherever you go. And you just have to follow the journey that they take you on and trust the process.
That's beautiful. Can I share a little something what you said to us?
You're reading my mind. Estelle's reading my mind. Okay, this is awesome because I was going to say something too.
Yeah.
Wow.
When you did the reading and I called Tan and said, get over here, kind of thing, and you called on us, you tapped into my daughter who passed away at that time, about 2 years prior. And I had always had questions on, and I hear her. When she gets upset with me, she says my name, Estelle. Really? Right. And I'll turn around and whatever, right? But this time, I always had these questions on what was really going on in her body before she passed, And I had these questions. I had asked if she had asked if her dad would maybe come through. I had asked if my Melanie would come through. And you were on it.
Boom, boom.
Bang, bang. And you gave me the answers I was thinking about through her. She gave you the answer, I should say. And it was phenomenal. And I was just like, wow. And then you connected to Tanis's dad, right?
And so, first of all, when you shared, right away you said you saw the color purple between both of us. I don't know if you remember that or not. Yeah. But we certainly do.
Yeah.
And, purple obviously has high vibe, psychic abilities, that kind of thing. And I know Estelle and I, we have some new adventures to kind of go forward with, and we're really excited. But connecting to our loved ones and knowing that they're always with us. And I know the cool part was when you connected to me and my dad, that's where I felt we had that connection. I don't know. I can't explain that. And then it went into your daughter, and the story kept going. And the piece that I wanted to share is you're talking about a yellow jacket, the zipper was broken, and then Holly. Right. So the thing why I wanted to share this part is with you. This was all with Estelle, but 2 days later, my mom has a new partner who is Indigenous, and his name is Rick Miller, and he says, well, my daughter's name is Holly, and you just gave your mom a jacket and the zipper just broke. So it's like now the pieces of the puzzle connected with Estelle, with her, like Holly is your niece. And then it went into connected to with my family, but it's not even connected with my dad, it's with my mom's new partner. And it's just like all these things, it's all intertwined. And this is the part is just like, there's so much more than just one thing. And that just shows energy, right? Mm-hmm.
Like energy is just flowing and being open, right? I mean, that's, I think, the biggest thing we all need to learn. And I have to remember that because I do get messages and my sister comes in for me and my dad and stuff sometimes, not always, not like you, but it's being open. And I got to remember that. And I think that's probably our biggest trials and things that we need to remember to when we try to do something like this and connect with our loved ones.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you have to be open, and just where energy goes, you go with the flow. You just have to just trust the process and get out of the way. And, that's when, whether it's the jacket or whatever that they're talking about, I think those are amazing that, even though at the time, maybe you didn't understand, but it revealed itself to you in a very short time after. Spirit knew that it was all going to happen to get your attention, right? So I just think it's amazing that Spirit knows that, they know things. I feel like in a sense, they could manifest things to get your attention so that that you would make these connections so that you would feel more connected to them as well. And a lot of people that I've read in the past, I've had many people message me after and say, well, I didn't understand this, or I didn't understand that at the time. That's why I just keep going. I said, well, just remember I said it, because I keep going, because later it could mean something that they didn't know. And maybe that's what Spirit needs to do to get your attention, even after them, to help keeping you thinking that, hey, I'm with them, I'm around them, I'm still here, I'm still there, and I don't feel like I have to know everything. I just do my best, and I'm still human, right? We're all human, and it's just do your best, and that's the best that you can do. Literally, is just just do that, and not worry about thinking about, am I right, am I wrong? It's just where are you coming from? What's your intention when you're doing it?
Yes.
And then
Trust.
honoring that love and that connection for the people that you're speaking to. And
Mhm.
whether I understand it or not doesn't even make a difference. It's more about
No.
the people I'm talking to and what they get from this, the more what I get from it, because that's my ego. If I think I have to be right about everything, or think I have to know everything, and I don't. And I know there's different approaches and different mediums that I've met throughout life. I mean, there's some mediums that are all about validation, validating everything that comes through. They have to validate it, and they can't move on unless they validate it. And I'm like, well, they'll validate it later. I'm just going to keep moving on because there's too much to tell in a short time that I have. So I do the best with the time that until I feel, the spirit or spirits have then pulled away. And then I like, okay, well, I feel like they've said what they needed to say here. And then I move on, etc. But it's there and available to all of us. And it's really the continual practice and working with spirit that strengthens it. And clearly understanding, their intention, and also how spirit can communicate through you, because everybody has unique strengths. And don't feel like if you watch one medium, that because they're getting a lot of audible things, that that audible things won't come to you someday. Or if you're a person that works with a lot of feeling, that you won't actually see something, that you're not as clairvoyant. I mean, there's exercises you can do to strengthen that, your clairvoyant abilities, by holding images in your mind, and meditatively holding images and different image, things that will kind of like help that grow, which I've given into the book a few exercises.
The quartz
And
crystal.
yeah,
Some beautiful.
absolutely, holding a quartz crystal. I mean, Indigenous people have been doing this forever. This is not like a new concept, or this is something that's happened through not just even Indigenous people, but all cultures have been seeing things and connecting to things forever, and having premonitions and dreams and connections and messages. So it's innate within us. It's meant to be within us all, and it's just honoring that connection to source, spirit, and creator, grandfather, son, and all spirits and our ancestors. They're accessible there for us all. And if you interact and engage with it, they'll interact and engage with you too. And it's really a give and take, right? So what you give into it, what you put into it, will come back. It will come back to you, but you have to be, giving it energy, or they're not going to like force themselves into your life. They're like, well, we're going to have to get their attention. They might do subtle things. It's like,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. And
Beautiful.
hopefully I feel like when you tour across Canada, that we like to be your tour guide.
Yes, here in Manitoba, of course.
Yeah.
Well, when I go out there, I'll meet up with you guys for sure, and then we'll go on a little tour somewhere. And if it's the petriforms, then definitely I'd like to see that and part of it. And you spoke about animals in regard to the petriforms that are out there, and that's actually my next book that I'm working on right now. Is about spirit animals like that are working with us in life. And I feel there's 4 different animals that work with us at different stages of life, and learning those different spirits that are working with us. Just like we have like people or spirits that were once in human form as spirit guides and ancestors that are helping us through life. We've also been very deeply connected to the animal nation, and we've served them and they serve us equally. I mean, and now through life, I mean, my Indigenous name is White Eagle Spirit Talker, and there's a reason for it, because I have a deep connection to the eagle, and I have a deep connection to the little polar bear and the buffalo, and there'll be more.
We do too.
I saw buffalo today.
What's that?
In her rock.
Oh, so I posted a picture, and it's like a grandmother rock out in Ontario, where my camper trailer is, and she saw a buffalo in the rock.
Yeah,
thing.
I just like, that's a buffalo.
I'll send you
Here's
the
the
picture.
leg,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very sacred land is where our camper trailer is out in Ontario. It's a Path Kenora. So there's so many places in this world that one needs to visit. And if you ever have the opportunity, Kenora would be another great place for you to go visit.
Yeah. I think I've been through Kenora in one of the seasons. I
Have
think I
you?
stayed in Kenora actually, but I was
that?
out somewhere else. Like I don't remember because my geography is not that good, but I know I
That's
was
okay.
I was through Kenora at some point there.
Well,
Okay.
where this rock is, it's Dogtooth, Ontario, and it's very sacred land there. And anytime, Estelle and I last year, we were there and camping, and the wind, everything was communicating with us that weekend.
It was the trees, everything, the animals, the birds, the squirrels. It was, wasn't there a turtle?
And a turtle.
A turtle.
Yeah. Actually, I want to quickly share something before we go. So my father passed. So the next day, I actually had to head out to Kenora, Ontario to pick up a camper trailer that my husband and I bought. And as we're in the town of Kenora, there's this water, a little lake, and there was a snapping turtle on the side of the road. And I told my husband to stop. And I don't know what it was. I had to tell him to stop. I jumped out of the truck. I quickly ran up to the snapping turtle, and I asked the snapping turtle, "Hey, are you okay?" And I have no idea why. And the turtle was on the road, and he looked at me, turned his head, and we have eye contact. And ever since that moment, I've thought to myself, that was my father. And I know that's just one story, and it continues on to one. And it's like the turtle energy. There's something with snapping turtles and turtles. I don't know. Maybe that's my spirit animal.
It could be one of your spirit animals. I mean, I feel like we have 4 different ones that come to us at different stages of life. You know, just like the medicine wheel, there's 4 stages of life. There's the infant stage of life. There's the youth stage of life. There's the adult stage of life. And then there's the elder stage of life. And I think depending where you are on your stage of life, and I do feel like we have 4 spirit guides as well. But I feel like different guides come at different stages of life, depending on what you're learning, what you're growing, how you're experiencing through life. And not everybody's life has the same 4 stages either, because some people only live to be 30, right? Or 40, and some people live to be like 90 or 100. So the stage of life that, people are in, it could be different, but it doesn't mean that they won't have 4 sacred animals, with them through their life at different times. They'll reveal themselves to you. Just like the polar bear has done for me, right? And the eagle and, the buffalo, even during filming Spirit Talker, that's when, I felt really deeply connected to the buffalo. And I also have another totem animal, which is the owl. And I've been gifted so many owl feathers. And I thought, well, this is not my medicine. I need to gift this to someone else. So I keep gifting them away. And then someone else gives me a new owl feather. I'm like, okay, well, obviously the owl medicine keeps coming into my life on purpose. And then, I'm out in the woods driving around, and a big owl flies right in front of my side-by-side and lands up in a tree.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, how many owls need to come into my life to say, "Hey, wake up!" But
we're excited to hear your new adventures and
about your new book. Do you have a date that it might be coming out?
I have to submit it by January 20th of 2025.
Okay.
So, and it's with Hay House again?
It's Hay House Publishing. And not only do I have one book, but I have 2 books. So they signed me to a 2-book deal. So they want that book. And I have another book that is, this is the one I really wanted to write. But they really wanted me to write the one about the spirit totem animal. So I said I would. So they said they would sign me for a 2-book deal, which I have signed.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And so my next book will be due in January 2026. And it's about grandfather son and the 7 directions of manifestation, which is co-creating your life, etc. So
perfect. We're all about the manifesting and creating an abundance. That's. I mean, you're here with us right now, so thank you. Yes.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for asking me. I appreciate the opportunity to share wisdom with you and have conversations, and hopefully the people who ever see this wherever they're out in the world, that they've gotten something for this, and that they continue to follow your journey, and that they see what you're putting out in the world in regards to wisdom and understanding to the spirit world. And I think that you're doing an amazing job. So thank you for having me on as a guest.
Thank you. Well, we're Prairie Soul Seekers, and we're excited to connect with you again.
We will connect again for sure.
Absolutely. Would you like to just give us a recap on where we can find your cards? Okay.
Well, if you wanted to look for Wisdom of the Elders Oracle cards, with an amazing work of Tracy Metallic. You can find it on heyhouse.com, or you can go to amazon.ca or amazon.com. And if you look up Wisdom of the Elder Shawn Leonard, you'll find the card deck. And if you're interested in Spirit Talker, the book, you'll be able to find that as well on amazon.ca, amazon.com. You can even go to my website, and there's a link that will take you to several websites, including Barnes & Noble, amazon.com, Amazon, within Canada. I forgot about Canada, for God's sakes. But there's also like Indigo Books, that is, for sale. So you can pretty much get the book anywhere. If you search for Shawn Leonard, Spirit Talker, or Shawn Leonard, Wisdom of the Elders, you should be able to find it somewhere online for sale.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Thank you very much.
We're so looking forward to meeting you in person.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I look forward to meeting you both in person as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shawn.
Have a great evening.
Okay, you too. We'll see you again.
Okay.
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 Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye-bye. Thank you.